Hello, everyone. You are welcome to my presentation on paradoxical relationships, assessing the influence of Ghanaian proverbial sayings on partnerships and collaboration in Ghana's fashion industry. I am Lillian Afun. It's a PhD student at the University of Ghana Business School and a Danida Fellow on the project Advancing Culture and Creative Industries for Development in Ghana. I will begin by giving a brief literature background into partnership paradox in the workplace setting in Ghana, then examine the role of Ghanaian proverbial sayings and partnership agreements in the culture and creative industries in Ghana. Then I introduce the methods and methodologies examined in this study, then highlight some key findings for future research. There's this general notion that partnerships are easy, less complicated, there are no disagreements, partnerships always result in cross-fertilization of knowledge, partnership nurtures and supports productivity and creativity. And in a partnership agreement, both partners strive for mutual success as there is cooperation and there is no competition within partnership agreement. But the question I often ask myself is, to what extent are these claims true? Hence, this paper seeks to examine these claims extensively in this research. As in the face of increasing economic disparity, environmental challenges, and the digital revolution, a new economic narrative or system is gradually gaining momentum, that of collaboration and partnership. This is because in today's market, cooperation has become a vital means for survival, particularly in the aftermath of the decline of communism and the emergence of diverse economic systems, such as capitalism. Partnerships have often been described as a kernel of creative work, according to Graham and Gandini, 2017, as individual success alone in the creative industry is becoming increasingly challenging, re-echoing the saying that no man is an island, and after all, two heads are better than one. As the accounts will say, Tikruwokwe and Ko Ejina, which means that there is joint action in collaboration. Let's consider the magic that happens when popular fashion brands, for instance, team up with other brands, celebrities, and fashion entities. Let's take the epic collaboration in the fashion industry. For instance, that between Off-White and Nike, resulting in the most coveted sneakers of all times. All gentlemen will agree with me. After all, one gentleman has a Nike here. And for instance, let's look at the collaboration between Depadan, Atalia, and Gucci, which resulted in a major comeback for Depa after the collapse of his business. However, the idea of collaboration is usually centered on economic advantages and social equity. We only see the social, the aesthetic, and the technical functions of collaboration. In contrast to this aura, to this buzz, to this hype, are the many untold stories of black magic, broken trust, shattered dreams, rivalry, and the time that is wasted that can never be got back. As partnership, it's sometimes described by some scholars as just the repackaging of capitalist norm in a more palatable technological savvy terminology. The reality on the ground is that partnership is a form of Ethiopian fantasy that often misguides many of a better future. Collaborations often use contradictory outcomes as the purpose and the intention of which some collaborations are formed do not end up as intended. Thus, the decision about collaboration or the lack thereof are often deeply rooted in and influenced by distinct cultural values, particularly in the global south, taking Ghana as an example. In Ghana, proverbs hold significant popularity in our professional work and even in our personal lives. Let's take, for instance, our business promotion, our music, our songs, our films, our theater, our fashion, our textile designs, all have some elements of culture displayed in them. Yet much has not been studied extensively on the influence or even on the impact of culture in the workplace settings or workplace dynamics. Ajimai and colleagues have often reinforced the depth of our understanding of the embeddedness of Ghanaian proverbial saying in our workplace dynamics, and also trying to explain to our understanding how proverbs influence HR practices, especially in the corporate settings. While Ajima and colleagues makes a significant contribution to understanding of proverbial sayings in workplace dynamics, their study overly emphasized on the positive measure of collaboration, leaving the negative aspect of collaboration in the global south. Thus, the study follows a divergent path to highlight the real-life experiences of many unsuccessful partnerships and collaboration in Ghana's creative industry. The study seeks to expand the argument in explaining why there are many micro fashion businesses spread along the length and breadth of Ghana's fashion landscape instead of collaborating or partnering with other people. This study is a qualitative study. It employs a phenomenological approach where the lived experiences of fashion entrepreneurs are examined in this study. 18 in-depth interviews were conducted among Kumasi-based fashion entrepreneurs. Participants include the seamstresses, tailors, designers, and dressmakers in Kumasi. Bond and Clark's 2012 thematic analysis was employed to derive themes from the data, and key among these themes included black magic, envy, time-wasted mistrust, confusion, and shattered dreams. This study is situated in the Ashanti region, specifically Kumasi. Kumasi is made up of the Akan people. According to Eduboahene, the Akans are the largest ethnic group in Ghana, comprising of about 45% of Ghana's population. They have a very rich culture that is transmitted in their proverbs, folklores, and wise sayings. Akans have a long history of distinct clothing and adornments that are worn at their funerals, at their naming ceremonies, at their engagements, instruments, and at other social functions. Their hand-woven kente, for instance, is known to popular social functions, and their Dinka symbols are used in textile designs to express metaphorical sayings and transmit cultural values to its recipients. This brings me to the study findings. This findings explains the many challenges that some Ghanaian fashion entrepreneurs based in Kumasi experience in their attempt to collaborate with other fashion entrepreneurs in the fashion landscape. For instance, a male Kumasi-based fashion entrepreneur based at Atonsu had this to say. He said, "Following the completion of my apprenticeship, I found myself without the means to rent a workspace. In my search for assistance, I connected with an individual who generously offered to help me. His suggestion was for me to take over his shop. Unknown to me, he had undisclosed motives after I had spent money renovating the place. We worked together for about 5 months, but as time passed, miscommunication and envy strained our working relationship. Ultimately, I decided to part ways and secure a new location where I currently operate independently. In this new place, I am the sole owner of the space, and as a direct consequence of this experience, I have chosen never ever to work with anyone in the future because Eshu Song. This proverb means that the one who has been bitten by a snake before in the past is even afraid of a worm. The proverb describes a person's extreme caution whenever he is in a situation that once taught him a lesson. This proverb can be compared to the English version, once bitten, twice shy. Similarly, another male fashion entrepreneur based at Crofrom had this to say. He said, during the initial stages of our business endeavor, my wife and I formed a partnership with another fashion entrepreneur. Initially, our aim was to share profits, but as time passed, it became increasingly clear that our goals and aspirations had taken different paths. Consequently, due to the tension and the strife between us, my wife and I decided to part ways with this individual. Looking back, there are moments that when I can't help but think that my wife and I invested a significant amount of our time working in vain with this individual. We have accomplished more in this relatively short period since parting ways than during all the time we spent collaborating with that person. In my perspective, this experience had led me to conclude that in some cases, there is no wisdom in collaborating with others. This experience reiterates what my father used to tell me while growing up. My father always used to tell me that I like making too much friends, and this will result in me losing some valuable things. And he always used to say that ayonko grew intina abuakotoi enya etire, which means that too many friends resulted in the reason why the crab up to date has no head, because all animals had head until the crab offered to give its head to a friend when attending a social event. This friend went and never brought the head of the crab back. This is why to date, the crab is headless. It also highlights the importance of being circumspect, especially in one's professional life. This brings me to another female fashion entrepreneur based at Santase with 8 to 10 years working experience in Ghana's fashion industry. She had this to say, it is not easy getting funding. This fashion thing, it's a lot of money. And after all, the others say, this means that it is because of watch over me while I eat that two antelopes decide to work together so that they will not become prey to their predators. After all, it's a good thing to do things in a group. So during the period as partners, I was never compensated for my work, but I wasn't worried because I knew that when things get better, we can share the profits. And there was no formal written agreement governing our partnership. But as time passed and the way I was treated, I grew dissatisfied with the arrangement and decided to go my separate way. Maybe if I have not learned it at the time, I am learning this lesson. Maybe I would have made a bigger mistake in the future. I don't think I want to do a joint business for now. Even now, I am very careful when employing workers because if you be painty and na abua asira rejeje neba aguro now we any aton chain. Sister, never again. It has not been easy. This proverb teaches us that it is because I have seen some before that ashrewa, which is a small bird, looks away when entertaining its young. This proverb conveys the notion that when someone encounters a negative experience in the past, they glean valuable lessons and ensure that they do not repeat the same error in the future. Similarly, another female fashion entrepreneur based at Santase had this to say. She said, right after my apprenticeship, oh, madam, I was very fortunate enough to have the assistance of my uncle to rent a shop for me and acquire some basic items to start me off in life. But my joy was short-lived when I offered to help my senior in apprenticeship, who was evicted from her shop, a space to work in my shop. Things were smooth initially, but not long after that, things began to be tough. There were petty rivalry over my customers and paying of utility bills. Whenever I wanted to address these challenges, they always resulted in heated argument. The last one ended in the chief's house. She was invoking curses on me, so the matter had to be addressed by our elders and reverse the curses as well, where I spent lots of money trying to appease the gods. After a short while, I felt very sick. My legs, arms, and other parts of my body grew big, and countless visits to the hospital proved futile. So this same uncle and I visited somewhere that I was told that behind all this illness was someone doing me. I was given some concoctions to take, and not long after that, the swells came down. I was advised to stay away from the shop, but calls from my clients resulted in me going back. All through these struggles, it will surprise you to know that this lady never called me once to check in on me. When I went back to the shop, the strife began again. I fell ill and even lost my 3 months pregnancy. I was taken back to the spiritualist who advised me that if I want to preserve my life, I should never step foot in that shop again. Sister, here I am back to class 1. Sister, which means that, sister, there is indeed something in this world. The elders were true that which means that the animal that will bite you will never ever be far from you. This proverb teaches us that in life, it is likely that the people who will hurt you the most are those who consider very close to you. They will always hurt you because they know so much about you and know when and how to punch you when you least expect it. The study findings has found some of the reasons why there are many thousands of micro businesses spread across the length and breadth of Ghana's fashion industry instead of partnering with other people. To conclude, considering that proverbs are still in use today, it is not unreasonable to assume that proverbial sayings can be extended to workplace practice of creatives in the global south. It is also evident from the literature that research on partnership tends to lean towards the positive aspect of collaboration, as opposed to examining the negative aspects of collaboration. Thus, this study serves as a starting point for additional research into the intricacies of an under-researched phenomenon in Ghana's fashion industry. Overall, the study demonstrates the need for us to indigenize knowledge, requiring scholars to build on cultural-specific ideas to generate theories worthy of workplace dynamics in the South. This reiterates the point that there's a need for us to decolonize African literature on workplace dynamics. Academic domestication starts now. Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge my supervisors, Professor Mohammed Aminu Sanda, Professor Anna Alakovska, and Professor Obibe Ekundama of the University of Ghana Business School and Copenhagen Business School for their insightful contribution in shaping this research. Thank you. I also want to acknowledge Urban Studies Foundation for sponsoring this study. Thank you.